Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back to OKC. It's me on the ones and threes. We are back for part two, part three, part four. I don't know. A part to pyramids in North America. So, we have mentioned a couple of pyramids and items in North America that resemble pyramids and that your founding fathers have talked about. So we are revisiting some of those items in which we are going to touch bases on mounds. So, if you don't know what a mound is, it's an Indian, what they consider Indian or native mounds. They are huge man made lumps of land, soil, earth. They're called earthworks, and they are created either for ceremonial purposes, burial, war, or just living, temples, religion. So, during our studies, we came across a founder's letter in the archive from one of your founding fathers. Can't remember which one, Thomas Jefferson or George Washington or Adams, one of them folks, right? And they were talking about, and it was other people talking about these things, and they were talking about the mounds that were in abundance near Illinois in the river in the Mississippi, and how there were many, many mounds around, and that there was one in particular that stood out from the rest, and it was bigger than the pyramids in Egypt, i.e., Giza, the biggest pyramid. It was bigger than Giza. And that is surprising when we hear historians and archaeologists talk about, pyramids and earthworks and just culture in general, how everything started in Africa, which I'm not opposed to. But when we talk about pyramids and religion and culture, how the mounds in North America and South America, but we're talking about North America right now, are older than those Egyptian pyramids. And so that leads to a question. Did the world really start in Africa? Or did it start elsewhere? Or, maybe it started in Africa and they came to North America and built up. And then they dispersed back. Maybe it's much like the Tower of Babel and everybody was dispersed all over. We don't know. And then maybe, they started building quote unquote pyramids or mounds here in America. And then they went to Africa and they started using the resources they had there, which was not the same type of material here. We got different type of soil. They got a different type of soil. And they also had repositories of limestone and other things that we may not necessarily have came across or utilized for other things, right? Okay, anyways. So today we are talking about none other than what they didn't know would be soon called Monk's Mound. The giant pyramid on the river or off the river in an open field plain in Illinois. So we are talking about Monk's Mound. I just wanted to go over just a little thing, what they say about the Indian mounds. And also to make notes that they also looked at these people, and we mentioned it before, as Jews, Jewish Levites. So there are also many old Indian mounds or mounds in this country about which there are many vague traditions which are not worth detailing. Of course it's not to you. They are not fortified like those on the other side of the Mississippi, but looks somewhat like those high places thrown up for the worship of the sun. There are hardly any other curiosities in the country or anything else worth mentioning that I have seen. Of course not. But then we go down, and this is not part of the thing, but I did see this and I wanted to read this. They talk about the Indians and how instead of finding them a savage, barbarous people, they are, on the contrary, extremely kind and courteous, liberal, hospitable, generous, and humane, and far advanced in civilization than many Americans he has seen. That is just something important to notate because they always love to give, oh, the Indians are savages and yada, yada, yada. And they're not. They never were. It was the Caucasians coming in, trying to bring an end to something that was savage. You know, those are the barbarous people. Those are the ones who didn't care about life, children, mothers, fathers, legacy, lineage, land. Those are the ones who came in to steal land that was not theirs, coveting land that is not theirs. I heard there was a curse for that, but nonetheless, we are talking about this Monk's Mound, located at Cahokia site near Collinsville, Illinois. Monk's Mound, the largest pyramid. So I just want to go over a few little mounds that we have. We're just going to scroll past them. But this is the Man Mound in Wisconsin. So crazy, right? So interesting. And this is the view from it, from the ground. Goes across the streets. I think those are cattle in the background. Then we got the Bird Mound. Looks like maybe a toucan or something. Is that water? And that's Devil's Lake. Oh, yeah, on the shore of Devil's Lake. Interesting. Interesting name. Devil's Lake. Then we got the Snake Mound, Serpent Mound. I'm pretty sure many of you have heard of the Serpent Mound. That's one that is pretty fairly shared in history, whether you're in school or just, bypassing something on social media. We're always privy to this one. The snake looks like it's eating an egg or something. All of these mounds usually are facing towards the sun or the setting of the sun, the rising of the sun. This is the first person view, I guess you could say, of the Serpent Mound. Grave Creek Mound in West Virginia is a burial mound, so there are bodies underneath that. Interesting how the trees shoot out. And this is what we are discussing today. Monk's Mound near Collinsville, Illinois. It's the largest pre-Columbian earthwork in the Americas and the largest pyramid north of Mesoamerica. So huge. All right. So, what is the history behind Monk's Mound? So we know it is in Cahokia. And let's read some things from the founding fathers about Cahokia. So Cahokia was invaded during I believe the American Revolution or something, but before that, they were taken over by the French. So they like to say that the Indians and the Cahokians and the Michigamis and the Kasakias, if I'm saying it correctly, were no longer there or around to, inhabit Cahokia and to utilize their land, but that is a lie. So anyways, this is about the French being there and the governor saying that it forbade any inhabitants of Cahokia from entertaining any strangers, white, Indian, or Negro. So they didn't want anybody coming in, and it's, to be honest, due to the fear of losing that land again because of how they acquired that land, which I think we'll get to because I think I did save those to talk about that. So it talks about Cahokia here. And I didn't say who sent the letter from Thomas Jefferson to George Washington, December 14th, 1790. And this one is to Alexander Hamilton from Medad Mitchell, 1792. And he's talking about Cahokia and how it is a fine town situated about 3 miles below St. Louis on the opposite side. It contains 100 stone houses, about the same number of inhabitants capable of bearing arms. Then it talks about another city, and then it talks about Cascaskias. That's what I was trying to say earlier. That's an important tribe as well. And then you see how they describe them, tribes of savages. So along the Mississippi, there were tribes and tribes and tribes, and they called them savages because, of course, they could not take their land. Those natives, aborigines, were not giving up that land under any circumstances. You see, during the American Revolution, forces under Clark's control or command was captured Cahokia and Vincennes. So this article pinpoints to how they were subject of no, I think I'm wrong. Kentucky. So it just talked about Roger Clark of Kentucky. I was reading the wrong thing. Sorry. So this talks about the land of the Mississippi and Illinois, the land that we are referring to, a big swath of land that maybe I could be able to pull up, possibly. We'll see. Maybe something I got up here is going to have a picture of the amount of land that these tribes owned. So it says that the land belonged to the Kaskias, the Cahokias, and Peorias. The Cahokias, of whom the Michigamis were a part of. So if you just think about the names, Michigan, that's where that comes from, have been extirpated by the Sacs, which was another tribe. The Peorias were driven off, and the Kaskias reduced to a few families. Governor Harrison, in his letter of November 28, 1802, says the Peoria chief has offered the right of his nation to these lands for a trifle. We should not fail to purchase it immediately. The Cahokias being extirpated, we have a right to their land in preference to any Indian tribe in virtue of our paramount sovereignty over it. He also says that the Kaskaskia chief would make easy terms with us. So this is basically saying how these conclusions felt like they had a right to the land because they felt like the Indians, the tribes, were no longer on the land. So then we're going to skip down to here, where it says, they're talking about the tribes again, and it says, we need to have boundaries between them. We should first gain the goodwill of them by friendly acts and their chiefs by largesses, and then propose to run the line between us, to claim whatever can be said to be doubtful, offering them a liberal price for their pretensions, and even endeavoring to obtain from them a cession of so much of their acknowledged territory as they can be induced to part with. So basically, trying to trick them out of their land, and anything they felt like was abandoned or taken, they were going to make the tribes give it up and say they had no right to it so that they can take hold of it. Yeah, conclusions, for real. They really were on some shit. So once again, they keep saying the Cahokias are extinct, but they're not. But because they reduced to a few families, they're trying to say they were extinct, just as the Kaskias or Kaskaskia, I don't know. But they're trying to still, in ways, find a way to take their land. Why? Because it is the best settled parts of the Ohio. From Thomas Jefferson, who was sending these letters from Harrison to Jefferson, who sent this from Dearborn to Jefferson. So everybody had their eye on Cahokia, the Indians, and their territory. Why? Because this was the first real North American empire. It was thriving. As we read, they said they were advanced and amazing. What? I bet they were. Christopher Columbus did not find this place. It was already found. It was already discovered. It was already inhabited. And it was already shaking, moving, and thriving. They said it was up to 3 million people, 60 different tribes speaking more than 30 different languages. Interesting, right? Definitely sounds like the Tower of Babel, which makes even more sense. Okay, maybe that's for another video. Let's get back to it before I get thrown off. I got a few more minutes and got to let you go. So it says, there are over 120 earthen mounds in that area. 2,200 acres have become that historic site that they claimed. That Monk's Mound that we are speaking about today stands over 100 feet high and takes up 14 acres. That is freaking huge. Greater than Giza. I have yet to get to Egypt. I am going, though. I put that in the atmosphere in the universe. I will be going soon. But the fact that I have not been to Monk's Mound makes me want to go this summer, plan out a trip. Because if it is greater than Giza, I can imagine the weight of it when they were here during that time and the conclusions came and saw it and was like, what is this? Oh, these people are royalty. These people are all this. This is a black man. I don't know what y'all looking at, where y'all think these people. Anyways, yes, Cahokia, that is a black man. So let's see. The ancient city of Cahokia was a bustling metropolis with a population similar to London, but it was inexplicably abandoned by 1350. It was not, because if we go here, we can see that Cahokia, I don't think I'm on that page. They put the name in here a little different. Cohakis, 1800s. In Casquias, 1797. So they were still here. That is a lie. They were not gone by 1350. 1800, 1790, they were still here. Not to mention the relocation of over 40,000 tribes over into Ohio, where they got rid of everybody from Virginia down to the Gulf of Mexico. So, and then didn't keep record on purpose. Let's not get there. But anyways, greater than London, bigger, supposedly abandoned by 1350. Such a lie. We know they were still here in 1800. This is what Monk's Mound looked like back then, right before and during the time that the colonists, in conclusion, showed up. A thriving city ecosystem kingdom. It was a metropolis, basically. Let's see. Some of the notable tribes that lived in that region were the Ofo, Choctaw, the Pensacola, and the Natchez, half of which my lineage derives from. So this shows how it looked back then. It reminds you of anything Egyptian times, what they wanted to feed us, but they fed it to us because they could whitewash it. It's hard to whitewash something that you really don't know much about and that you tried to destroy in the first place because you wanted to take over a land that you didn't want any blacks or browns to be a part of. And we saw that from our very first video for Black History. Monk's Mound, it was a major religious hub and popular center around 1050 CE. Like they said, they worshiped the sun. I wonder, right? During that time, they said it was a lot of things going on, whether it's wars between the tribes, climate change, flooding, just movement of the population itself that led to the decline of Cahokia and the extinction of the Cahokians, but that is absolutely untrue. Yes, they were going through a little bit of change, as any generations will go through, but when the colonists showed up, they were still there, they were still thriving. It was the colonists who sought to get rid of the Cahokia because they were repopulating, as you can see, by 1650. I didn't even read this in here. I read this in the founders website, where they talked about, and I read that in I believe this is the National Archive, where they were repopulating and they were still there when the colonists showed up. It was the colonists who saw it as an opportunity because they saw the weakened state and tried to play on them and befriend them, to utilize and to take advantage and to pit tribes against tribes in order to take their land. So, yeah, that's it. That's all. Tamaroa, I believe, was the original name of that area, which makes even more sense if it was well established before they got here. What they called our area before they got here was Tamarica. So Tamaroa is just in line with Tamarica, or Tamari. I think the "ka" comes from the "ta" part, and they switched it around. America, so it's Tamari, which makes sense for the Tamar. Okay, you know what I'm trying to say. So, do I have to go into detail about how they came and took over? I really shouldn't, because you already know how they probably did it. The French came first, befriended. They probably weren't too bad of a people to them, and they took over the land by befriending. Maybe they did kill a few. I'll have to look on the French histories and their historical writings to figure out how they actually came in and took over Tamararo or Cahokia from the tribes, or if they actually lived side by side with the tribes. And then when the conclusions came, the British, the colonists came, they then saw that as an opportunity to overthrow the French, as well as take the Indian land, because they so desperately wanted to get out of the mountains, because we know from our first couple of videos that they were relegated or segregated to the mountain areas, and they wanted to come out of the mountainous areas and get into the plains and the meadows and take over the rivers and the fields. They probably watched the pharaohs from Egypt and the different tribes and kings travel back and forth up the Mississippi, and realize, like, hey, we want that land. We, once again, conclusions, wanting to bring it into something that was not theirs. And so there goes the town of Cahokia, a thriving city at one point in time, a thriving metropolis, cosmopolitan area at one point in time. Giving birth to a lot of advancements in civilization that they don't want to give credit to the original inhabitants, as well as notating that in the Aboriginal races of North America, in this book, because it is a long 800 pages, they do talk about how those natives that they entertained when they first got there were not the original natives that were in that land, and of course that makes sense. So yeah, Cahokia, Monk's Mound, a great metropolis, cosmopolitan, a great city kingdom that had pyramids bigger than Giza, had a population of over 20,000 when they first got there. Yeah, If you are in Illinois and you have never been, please go and check it out. For me, if you have been, please comment. Let me know how your experience was. I can only imagine it is an ethereal experience. If you, let's see. Oh, I gotta key Monks. Let's see if we can find a quick video, really quick.
More than 1,000 years ago, on a site in what's now the southwest corner of Illinois, an ancient people were building skyward, but without the benefit of modern engineers, steel, and glass. They used earth instead, which is why they were known as mound builders. These giant earthworks served as the foundations of what were likely some of the tallest standing structures in North
Wow.
America.
Wow.
Mysterious and long-lost civilization.
I can see how the founder said they saw that from a distance and was like, whoa.
From the Great Lakes region, all the way
Certainly something that would catch your eye back then.
but the Mississippian's largest city was here in Illinois.
Look at all the other mounds. Look at the circular mounds. They talked about that in the founders.
Believe that there were once 120 mounds here.
120.
Miles. Building them required moving 55 million cubic feet of earth
Wow.
and in woven baskets.
Wow.
A fence like this one once surrounded the city, probably for protection.
That is so cool that the fence is still there.
Is the largest known prehistoric
That whole area was kingdom.
called Monk's Mound and forms the shape of a trapezoid. No one knows for sure what role these mounds played in the lives of the Mississippi.
It looks like a star. It looks like it used to be a star.
Monk's Mound
Trapezoid. What a I know I ain't slow. That don't look like no trapezoid.
50. It was more populated than the city of London. Radiating out from the center were fields and smaller villages with smaller mounds. But
Okay, I see what they mean.
people living here were gone.
So maybe the ridges, but that's given
No one knows what happened to the great Mississippian mound.
that's given some different shapes. Maybe because it's stacked. They did not vanish. So Smithsonian, sometimes they give you half the truth. Sometimes they don't.
Am I the only one
But-
who didn't know there's a giant ancient pyramid in America? Let's uncover Monk's Mound.
You are not the only
Monk's
one.
Mound, located in Illinois.
We are
is
all
the
learning
largest
together.
Prehistoric earthwork in the Americas. Built by the Mississippian culture around 1,000 years ago, it covers 14 acres and stands 100 feet tall. That's like a 10-story building made of dirt. Imagine hauling all that soil without modern tools. Experts believe it took hundreds of workers and many years to complete. But why was it built? Some say it was a political center, others think it was a place of worship. The truth, still a mystery. Excavations have revealed artifacts and the remains of structures, hinting at the mound's significance. But
Wow.
There's still so much we don't know. What secrets are buried beneath this ancient giant? The intrigue continues. So next time you think of pyramids, remember, you don't have to go to Egypt. There's a monumental mystery right here in the USA. Stay curious, history buffs. Hit like and subscribe for more amazing
Yes. So you don't have to go to Egypt to find pyramids because it is here in America.
In part of North America lies a forgotten chapter of human achievement.
That is the image we just saw.
Among the clay left out metal flint.
Ooh, you got some nice pictures.
To move cubic feet of soil, it required it by wonders of the ancient. Was the Beatix mound served platforms?
I know I'm
They show
skipping. I
stories
just
of
want to
sophisticated
Mound
creatures
Bidders
that
of ancient America. Ooh, hold on. They had some dark skin right there.
They tell a story of a sophisticated
I'm gonna have to look that up.
projects for time. Constructions lie hidden
Serpent Mound.
to rethink the history.
Okay, so there we go. Because I think I skipped it in the other one. So this is the area, and I think it's a little bit up some more. But this is all the area. Look at that. And I live up here, somewhere over here. And my family is from all of this area. So are we Cahokian? Who knows? So we got all of these kingdoms that I want to call it in mounds: Lake Jackson, Okumuji, Itoa, Winterville, Moundville, Plaquemine, Emerald, Cadwin, Spiro, Kincaid, Cahokia, Angel, Serpent Mound, Fort Ancient, and Oneota. See, all of these mounds and pyramids, and I guess the size of them is how great of scale they are. So while Cahokia is the biggest, so we got the Town Creek, Serpent Mound, Spiro, Winterville, Moundville, Etoa, Emerald, and then you got the little ones in Kincaid and Angel. Then you got the little ones around and in between Key Marco. That's pretty cool that he had that up there. So yeah, that is Monk's Mound. Monk's Mound. That is Monk's Mound. I hope this was somewhat interesting, somewhat informational. I know I didn't go into full freaking detail. I just wanted you to see what the founders talked about, how they described the pyramids here and the people here, and how that we do have a place here. Our brown people, our black people are not just relegated or regulated to Africa, right? We are part of history any and everywhere. And that's something that's important for us to know, especially for people who are searching for purpose, placement, belonging, history. Our history is everywhere. That's Monk's Mound. That's it. That's all. And I'm out of time.